Hey, welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Justin Stoddard. Excited to bring you today a couple of what I like to call icons, some might even say legends, guys who've done some amazing things in the digital media space when it comes to lending, when it comes to real estate agents, really acting as a lighthouse to those of us in this industry, saying what's coming and where should we be going, where should we be moving our business so that all of us can continue to create profitable niches within our industry. So before I get into introducing who these characters are, who you're going to love, they're just really, really almost household names when it comes to this space. The purpose of my show, again, is to help you think bigger. Most of the problems we face in life are because we're not thinking big enough. As we think bigger, as we start to do that, our activities change, our results follow, and our impact follows that. Part of thinking bigger is surrounding yourself with people that are thinking bigger than we are. And the purpose of this show is to put you in contact with people that are doing exactly that can help you think bigger. So I want to welcome onto the Think Bigger Real Estate Show, Ryan Hills and RC of the theREsource show. Is that right, guys? Did I butcher that? Or
that's all right. We're called theREsource, the REsource. We just whatever, man. I'm Ryan, and that's RC. So thanks for having us on, Justin.
I love it. The REsource. You can find them at the REsource. So theREsource.tv. That's where their show is hosted. They've been putting out, again, content for a decade.
Yes.
They could see this thing coming. I mean, if that's not an indicator in and of itself as to how far ahead of the curve these guys are, 10 years ago, nobody was doing this stuff. Right now, there's a lot more people that are doing it. It's still not enough, and we're going to talk about that today. Yep. But 10 years ago, you guys saw where this industry needed to go, and you started leading the way. So kudos to you guys for being pioneers, for really teaching all of us the importance of standing out and really being a thought leader, right? Which is, I think, part of the future of remaining well paid in this industry. Would you guys agree? I
appreciate that, man, and I love your mission and what you're doing in your space as well. So it's awesome to see that. As you said earlier, I'd love, and I think you would too, for more people to kind of follow that model in real estate and lending and title, appraisers, like even small business owners. It's crazy to me that 10 years later, I remember telling RC 10 years ago, like, hey, we got to be quick, we got to be fast because people are going to catch on. And a decade later, it's still not being leveraged as much as it should. So that's part of our mission, is to continue to go out there and challenge realtors, lenders, entrepreneurs to leverage social, leverage video, because it's such an awesome platform, and you've never been able to reach so many people so quick, and it's actually relatively inexpensive now versus kind of the old method. So love what you're doing, man. Thanks for having us on again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Again, I am. If there's anything I do well, it's because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants like you guys that saw this coming a long time ago. And probably similar to what you guys just described, at first I was like, crap, I got to hurry. Like, I got to get this out. Everyone's got to copy. And the reality is most people don't, and most people should, right? Let's talk about that. Like, why and we're not saying that everybody needs to do their own show, right? But having a very strong presence in digital media, why do you think that matters now more than ever before?
Well, I mean, presence and brand, to me, like, kind of same thing. And we're going to talk about that at the OMBA coming up. And I don't want to give away too much of what we're going to talk about, because I'd love to see you guys there. There's only 75 spots. It's going to fill up really, really quick. I told Justin before we started shooting, like, I'd love to fill that up with realtors at a mortgage event. I just think that would be funny. So if you're listening, realtors, make sure you sign up real quick. I'm sure we'll throw something in the comment section as far as a link to sign up. But we're gonna address that. Why is it important to have a brand? For us, our origin story 10 years ago was just that. Like, Great Recession hit. We were young in the business. We didn't have gigantic databases or referral partners. How do we become relevant? How do we build a brand? That's where we started 10 years ago. So we're going to give 10 years of our lessons on building that brand, becoming relevant. We're just not going to give it today, because I want to build desire so I can see you guys in Oregon in a few weeks.
I think something that stops a lot of people, which is why I was interested in coming on the show, is it's a mental thing, right? And so fear plays a really big role in building a brand. Why me? Why does someone want to pay attention to me? There's so many other people just killing it. So it starts in your head as far as answering, like, oh, I am good enough to do video. It doesn't matter. I look what I look like. I sound what I sound like. And I do have things inside of me that I need to share with people to make an impact positively. And that leverage of always adding value is where the influence begins. And so I think it's a mind shift of not caring about yourself, but realizing you have an obligation to serve your customers and your top tier customers.
How did you say it before we started? Because I think you got to the answer, and we'll get to all of the how-to stuff at our talk. But how did you say it? What was your phrase about having real estate in their head?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking. So I'm a firm believer that you need to own a piece of real estate in people's brain.
Love it.
Which can also be described as mind share, right? You read that concept, but it's definitely what it is. It's you own real estate in someone's brain. If you own zero real estate in someone's brain, there's 0% chance they will use you on their real estate transaction because they've forgotten about you. I mean, case in point, the first home my wife and I went to sell, I had a very good friend who had helped me in my general contracting business. We'd moved out of state, had turned our primary residence into a rental. We were now moving back to Oregon, where I'm from, and we decided to sell the rental. Wish I wouldn't have, now looking at what that home's worth. Nevertheless, my wife looks at me and says, Justin, who should we use for real estate? And I was like no names came to mind. I'd been out of the state for 6 months. Nobody really stayed in contact with me, but I was a builder, right? I worked with agents. And so finally a name came to mind. It was a gentleman named John. John had put me on some really, in my opinion, terrible drip campaigns, but he's the only guy that communicated with me. Yeah. He owned terrible real estate in my brain, but he was the only one that owned real estate in my brain. So I gave the listing to John. Within probably a few hours, my heart just sank, and I thought, what about my friend Craig? Oh, crap. I would have loved to have given this listing to Craig. Craig, had added value to me as a builder. He was a friend of mine from college. Nevertheless, I had to make that uncomfortable call to Craig to say, hey, Craig, I'm selling my house, but it's not with you. I'm so sorry, I forgot. Shame on me. But then afterwards, I realized, it's not my responsibility to remember people. It's their responsibility to remind me. And so, from that point on, I've always wanted to be the person who was proactively gobbling up real estate in people's brain, right? And you have to do that in a way that's not totally obnoxious, in a way that adds value, just like you guys have done, right? Yeah. You're in people's brain because you're consistently adding value, and was a similar inspiration to what I'm doing here. Is how do you add value to people to where you're the source of that? So naturally you own a piece. And when title and escrow comes up, I want to grow my business, not just have escrows, but have more escrows. I want them to think of me, right?
Love that. And we're going to learn from our past mistakes. So when we've traveled in the past, we're just trying to come and bring as much valuable content as possible. For me, if we go away and people are like, that was interesting, that's a fail. Like we want to give something that's practical that they can take away, build their business with. That's really our sole goal. So in the past, trying to do that, we pack in so much content into an hour or two, and it becomes sometimes lost. I can look out, people are getting kind of glassy-eyed, and we're talking maybe 2 or 3, 4.0 strategies that may just be over their head, and they're starting to click out, especially for the veteran in the business. So we're going to try to learn from our mistakes, and we're actually going to start with what we call, and we're building a new piece of content just for this talk, Building a Brand 1.0, the blueprint.
Yep. And
so if you don't know what that even means or where to start, we're going to start with 1.0. Now, we'll leave time for questions to get into 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 for those realtors and lenders, entrepreneurs that have an established brand and maybe are struggling with distribution, because that's a big one. But we're going to start with 1.0. So if you've been in the business a while and you're not really sure what we're talking about right now, come to this event and we'll start with 1.0 and we'll go from there. I'm excited about that.
It's interesting when you look at some of the greatest coaches in the world, and really I see you guys as that. Obviously, you've got some prominence in the lending space, but you're really coaching and teaching and guiding an industry on what's the path forward, kind of like the lighthouse analogy that we use, right? And you look at some of the greatest coaches in the world, everything from Vince Lombardi on day one was, here's a football, gentlemen, right? Yeah. Or John Wooden, let's teach you how to put your socks on. The greatest coaches in the world, I think they don't overlook the fundamentals. Now they move on, like you said, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. But I think even people who already have an established brand would be like, I'm eager. Like I've established a brand, but I'm super eager to go back and look at the fundamentals of where's my foundation maybe cracked, right? Where did I jump to 2.0 when I should have fortified 1.0? So I think this is going to be super relevant for all of us that realize that the future of again, being well paid in our industry, I'm confident that our industries will always need people. I'm also confident that automation is going to take away the job of some people, and it's working to try and lower the pay of a lot of people. Yep. So I think the future of our industry of people who want to remain well paid are those that have a voice and those that have a brand so that people recognize that voice and trust it and listen to it and are willing to pay more because, frankly, there's more value there than the fee that they're charging.
And we're going to talk about that too. Hopefully not too much. Again, try to learn from my past mistakes. And we're not going to cram too much content in there, but big tech equals consumer direct. We all know that. If you've watched our show, we've talked about it for years, warned about the Zillow challenge, all that stuff. So consumer direct deserves to be respected. However, traditional realtors and lenders can leverage what we've been calling community direct and the strategies of actually going deep community direct to combat that big tech company that's going consumer direct.
And then kind of breaking that down on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. What does that look like in your schedule? How are you time blocking for that? How are the activities focused to get you the results you're looking at? And not going too far down the path, but just making sure that you have an executable plan to thrive.
So for those that don't know kind of the breakdown here between Ryan and RC really kind of gets into the weeds of the distribution, the technical side of it. So it's going to be really fun to have both of you guys there, I'm assuming. Is that right?
Yeah,
we're both going to be there.
Because there's going to be a vision, right, of like, this is what branding, this is the future of our industry looks like, and those that are going to thrive, not just survive, but thrive,
Correct.
Their business are going to look like this. And then it sounds like from you, RC, maybe from both of you, there's going to be some very tactical. Because sometimes you walk away and you've got all these ideas, get a whole notebook, I need to do this, this, and this, but no how to. There's no real blueprint. And what it sounds like, you're going to get into the weeds a little bit as far as like, here's how you actually put this in your schedule. Here's how this fits into an already busy schedule. Here's why it fits, right? And that's Ryan, you sharing that. Here's why this is so important. If you don't do this, your future is going to look like this. Right. And then RC is going to be following right behind you to say, and here's how to actually implement this stuff.
Correct. Yep. I mean, we're all busy, right? And we're all peak performers. We've coached and mentored and interviewed some of the most elite people in our space. You can learn a lot from that. And I think everybody needs a coach and needs to be a coach, right? So this is just a way that we can share what we've learned and really hopefully impact people in a very positive way. We're all going through the same motions. We have 24 hours in the day. What can we focus on really to, at the end of the day, say, did I matter today? Did I add value today? And those are big questions I think that Ryan's taught me over the years of just how to itemize your calendar to make sure you're adding value and really making an impact.
I love it. One of the analogies that I love to use, I help agents create kind of a detailed business plan is one of my value offerings. And one of the things that we talk about is I help them actually calculate their dollar per hour by getting to the money that they need to make and how much time they're going to commit to it. And then from that dollar per hour, I enjoy asking them. In fact, I've got one sitting here in front of me. I pull up the dollar per hour. So this particular agent, newer agent, just getting started, but he's got a good network. His dollar per hour is close to $100 an hour. That's probably low for most agents, right? Wants to make over $200,000 and work. Let's see, he wants to work 270 days out of the year. Okay, so that equates to about $100 an hour. And I told him, I said, there are certain activities during the day that I would challenge you to then take that list of activities and say, would I be willing right now to go over to my computer and type into Craigslist or Indeed.com and post an ad saying, I'm looking for administrative support and I'm willing to pay $100 an hour to do these activities. And if your jaw drops and you say, I would never pay anybody $100 an hour to do those things, then that's a stark reminder to you of you should, then if you really want to make $100 an hour, right, you can't be doing those things. And so what I hear you guys saying is that there's certain activities in this building a brand space that are high value and some of them that are not, right? Like aimlessly perusing your Facebook newsfeed, doing nothing but just liking stuff and being one of many that are liking people's comments, right? Not a very good use of time. You're not going to get well paid for that. Creating content.
And what's the return on your investment? I mean, that's such a great, I'm right there with you. And it's so funny. Realtors and lenders struggle with this both. Like they forget that they make good money for some reason. And then they forget to divide it by 2,080 hours, work hours a year. And if you, most of it, like you said, that number is usually pretty big for both realtors and lenders.
Yeah.
And having that be top of mind is very important because if you're spending time, maybe it's $100, $200, $300, $400 an hour, whatever the number is, whatever your number is, on a failed strategy, like do you just like lighting money on fire? Is that fun for you? Because that's what you're doing. And if you think, okay, I'm dedicating 2 hours to this, my number's $400 an hour or whatever it is. Okay, I got $800 already invested into this. Am I going to make $1,600 from this? Am I going? You know what I mean? That's a quick conversation you can have in your head, but you got to do that math equation like you said, and it's got to be top of mind every day to go, is this worth my time? You know, am I going to get a return on my investment on my time? And realtors and lenders just struggle with that concept. It's weird.
Yeah, I think it ties in right back to thinking bigger, right? I mean, literally top of mind, understanding what you're worth, and respecting yourself enough to organize your day in that fashion.
Respecting yourself, like that's a big one. Respect the fact that you make $100 an hour, $200 an hour. That's, you know, those are big numbers. I don't care, you know, if it gets bigger than that, but guys, that's a lot of money that lenders and realtors make. Respect your own time enough not to throw it away. Anyways, we're getting sidetracked, but I love what you said, and I'm very passionate about that, as you can tell.
I love it, man. You know, we're about at the end of our episode here. Are there anything you guys want to share that would really further advise people to be there on February 13th here in the Portland, Oregon market, to come to the OMBA luncheon and hear you guys speak?
Yeah, I think a lot of people just don't know where to start, right? And so even if you do think you know where you're going, there's a big difference between like storytelling and story selling, right? And that really comes back to how you communicate. So if you respect yourself and you have big goals, but you need to know what to do and how to position yourself with poise and authority, I think that's something that we're going to really, really knock out of the park with you and help you build that brand faster and become something you're proud of.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get an hour with you, and it's not a lot, and it is a shameful plug, but I would love for you guys to join our community at theREsource.tv, because you get, you know, time with us every week. We can only talk and communicate so much in this hour in Oregon.
Yep.
But the biggest compliment we get frequently, which just I love, is people say, hey, I watched the show. We take it into our office with 100 realtors or, you know, 20 loan officers. We play it. It starts a conversation of, hey, what should I do? What should I be doing? And every week's different.
Right.
And so really that's how everybody can be edified. The hour is going to be great, and we look forward to meeting everybody and getting new relationships through that. But joining the community is really the next level thing for our viewers and for our, you know, the realtors and lenders that appreciate what we're talking about and just want to address shortcomings and get better and look ahead.
Love it, man. So excited. I was excited about this event before we got on the show, and I came on with the intent to get people to come, and now I'm fired up even more about being there. So thank you guys for that.
We're bringing the heat. That's what we are. That's what we do. We are bringing the heat.
I love it.
Ready.
Let's bring it. Okay, my final question, the signature question of the show that I ask every one of my guests. You guys can look at each other and decide which one's going to do it. Coin toss, or if both you want to contribute to it, which is you're both big thinkers. You have been for over a decade now. You've proven that. What do you do to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand your own possibilities? Teach us.
I love that question, and I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't know that you threw that out there. But you said it earlier, and again, like-minded people, you said, I try to think big, and helping me do that is hang out with people that think bigger. I just spent 3 days, and it cost me $5,000 to spend 3 days with the brightest minds in the entire industry from across the nation. It was a private event with 10 people, and those guys broke me down and pushed me like no other. These are guys that are doing $500 million in production by themselves, or have national or international brands. That you and I think alike. Like I want to think bigger. I want to continue to think bigger 10 years later. Yep. How do I do that? There's always another level, baby. And so I just spent a lot of time being refined by peers and people that I look up to. And it's no harder than that. You are the company you keep.
Yep. And I would say there's two answers for you. We'll make it quick. I'm on a different spectrum. When I was very young, I had a big surgery, and it basically, I ended up dying on the table and getting revived. So I approach every day. As soon as I have corrective lenses, so when I put my glasses on, I feel like there's a little ticker in the corner, and you don't know when your time is. Obviously, you know, with Kobe and all of the situations and that horrific accident, like, you don't know when your time is. So that's one way to really understand you and value the time that you do have, and be very intentional to create a life worth living. And, you know, thankfully I've gone through that. It's one of the best lessons I've ever learned. And fortunately, Ryan and I mesh very well on very different ends of that spectrum. But I think that's where a lot of our drive comes by, is just respecting that you don't know when your time is.
Man, you guys are giving me goosebumps. Again, super grateful, number one, for you guys taking the time to come on the show today with short notice. Secondly, for being willing to come down to teach us at the OMBA event. And I'm excited to sign up at theREsource.tv and be a larger contributor to your community. And just want to thank you guys. My final request of everybody listening here today, are 3 simple words I say it every time, and they are go, think, bigger. So Ryan and RC, thank you both so much for helping us do that today. I look forward to continuing to build our friendship, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much, Justin. See you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.